Hey folks, how we all doing? Just said I will record a bit of a mishmash. Number one, because it's a while since I had anything posted on our YouTube channel, and secondly, because I happen to be here in the office on my own for a while, which is actually a bit of a rare occurrence at the minute. For those of you who don't know, I live in a what was once rather difficultly titled a granny flat. Um, I like to think of it more as a one-bedroom apartment. Uh, which was built onto the back of the home place 25 years ago. But look, and I know in a lot of ways this is a good thing and a very good thing in most cases that there's generally always somebody coming and going, but to do this type of work, like record videos and whatnot, it tends to be a lot easier done if I happen to be on my own. So while the opportunity presented itself, I said that is exactly what I would do. Now, I described in the very first sentence of this video that it would more than likely end up being a bit of a mishmash, and that is most likely what will happen because there could well be a little bit of everything in it. Now, obviously, there will be quite a degree of sport mentioned, but there's a lot of stuff other than sport going on that I might just touch on as well. So I honestly don't know how long this video is going to be, or just where exactly it may end up. But sure, as I always say in these situations, we'll start somewhere and end up somewhere else. And the only place to start at the minute would be the fact that unfortunately my near 92-year-old father is back in hospital again. In fact, he will be a fortnight in hospital on Monday, which would go some way to explaining why we've been a little bit quiet on the content front on the YouTube channel. Things have been slightly all over the place, and at one point, about a week ago, the outlook didn't exactly look great at all. We, or at least I, anyway, was very much in a vein of thought along the lines of getting oneself ready for the least desired outcome, shall we say, but not for the first time, and I would venture to suggest not for the last. He has done a bit of a Lazarus on it again. Now he is far from out of the woods as regards being 100% back to himself, and may well, in fact, end up being in hospital for quite a while still. But at least the situation doesn't look quite as grave as it did this day last week. In the week that has been, I have sort of been trying to keep myself busy in and around the shed as far as is possible. I know any of you who've been following me on Instagram, and I will take this opportunity to say, if you're not following me on Instagram, please do. It's This Disabled Life. But any of you that have been over on the Instagram account during the week will have seen that I am fairly well near to finishing my latest project in the workshop, which I still haven't totally decided. Will it end up a cold rack for inside the house, or more tool storage for the shed itself? The honest answer is I'm not entirely sure, but I finished, well, as any of you who would have been following my YouTube channel for the last while will have known, I have been working on this piece for a good while, in that from actually cutting the piece of wood itself to putting the 2 rows of hooks into it, and for the last week or so, what I've put in a lot of the time doing, and in actual fact something I really enjoyed doing over the last week or so, was to do an awful lot of work both with the rasp set and the electric sander, which I recently, well, when I say recently, a couple of months ago now, I purchased, and I was able to put a sort of design or pattern, or whatever you want to call it, onto the actual block of wood, which was more or less modelled on a key rack which I made during the one and only year in secondary school I was allowed to do woodwork, which is 27 years ago now. So I always said I wanted to go and have a go at doing another one. Now I will admit, I did not, in any sense of the word, expect it to sort of turn out on the scale that it has, but to my mind, that it has done so is actually very much all to the better. So the next, and please God, final stage of that will be, it will need one or possibly a few coats of varnish just to finish it off. And once we have that under control, I would have thought then we come to a decision. Do we put it in the shed? Do we give it away or sell it, or whatever the case may be? Or do I actually have a third proposal in mind, I could also see it being useful, being mounted as a what would we say, holder or wall mount for hanging baskets or things like that. So we'll make that decision in due time, but for now, or for the early part of next week, please God, if things stay steady the way they are with Dad at the moment, the ambition for the early part of next week would be to get a couple of coats of varnish onto this particular large block of wood, and after that, when we've that part of it done, then I can make some sort of a decision as to where we're going to go with it, as regard to whether it'll be a tool rack or a thing for hanging baskets or whatever the case may be. Also, with regard to non-sporting matters, I suppose you would say, I am delighted to report that the first of the potato crops which we sowed are well up out of the grow bags, and thankfully appear to have survived without any frost losses, which was a major worry, I would have to say, because we never had spuds in as early. Now, I know it is the right time for them to be in, but bearing in mind that we were sort of about a month later than where we're at now, starting off last year, the fact that I managed to get a couple of small bags of potatoes to grow at all was considered, by me at least, to be a fairly major achievement in itself. Now, I know all these things are relative, and hopefully at some stage down the line we will be able to take things to a different level, scale wise. Now, just exactly how big or what that scale wise will be, I am not entirely sure at this moment in time, but all options are remaining open. But as I say, the first crop of spuds that were sown in around St. Patrick's Day or thereabouts, 17th of March, appeared to be doing very well. They got a nice dollop of fertilizer when they were being sown, and they were well, if it was major scale farming, it would be called top dressed. They were top dressed with compost a while after that, so they seem to have done very well. I suppose the proof of the pudding, as they say, will be in the eating, but certainly I couldn't be happier with where they're at the moment. What else have we? We have carrots starting to appear up. We have peas, which are doing well. Hopefully, in another video in the near future, we will more or less do an inventory of where we're at crop wise and what we have sold, how they're doing, what we hope to sow later in the year. The one thing I would say is that I would have every intention of at least attempting to sow a late crop of spuds with the intention of maybe having them for a certain big occasion around the end of December. I am not going to mention the word simply because it is the 23rd of May, or 22nd of May rather, and to mention that word in particular at this time of the year would amount to absolute heresy, but that is all for doing the pipeline. What else have we? The eco briquettes are still in production. Through some of the fine days there was earlier in the week, I was actually able to take them out and let them dry a bit in the sun, and I'm glad to uh, report that the experiment seemed to be a bit of a success, and I also have been trifling with the idea of perhaps giving them a shot of a hairdryer on a low speed just to see would it speed up the process. But on the other side of it, there essentially is no rush on it because, well, whether for personal use, and by personal use I mean for family members, because to my utmost regret at this point in time we do not have an open fire or a stove or anything of the sort, but of course the aim would be to have them ready for use at the back end of the year, I suppose, from September, October onwards. So, really and truly, there's no rush on the drying side of it as such, but what can be said is that we're trying to keep a constant run of, say, when if a bunch of briquettes or a briquette even is baled, that we have another bunch of another batch of the mixture in the bucket, either soaking or ready for being put into the baler and made up, just to keep the thing constantly moving. Just to go back on the sporting side of things before I wrap up, just a reminder that a book I wrote this time last year during the first lockdown, if you want to call it that, called Rolling Down Memory Lane, which is basically a collection of my greatest sporting and a few other memories from the last 30 or 31 years. Well, it'd be 30 years because it was more or less all done in last year. My greatest sporting and a few other memories of the last 30 years. It's called Rolling Down Memory Lane, and it is available to download off BoylanTalkSport.com for €5. So if you haven't taken a look at it already, please do. Any support received be very much appreciated and put towards the upkeep of the website and further development thereof as well. Without going into too much about the sporting end of things, because I will be writing and recording more about that maybe even later today, but certainly over the course of or after the weekend. But I just can't let this clip go without making mention of the wonderful man and gentleman to boot that is Jim Bulger. Once again, writing himself into the headlines, and in this case, the record books, with his capture of the Irish 2000 guineas for what I got very hard to believe, although it seemingly is true, that it was the master of Culcullen's first time to achieve such a feat. So absolutely marvellous. Great day for Rory Cleary too. Aboard McSweeney. Now, it wouldn't be the first time that stable jockeys, in this case Kevin Manning, opted wrong out of the two of them, but it probably gives you an indication of the competitiveness of both Bulger colts to say that the trainer's son-in-law only finished ahead behind the winner, and that both of them pulled well clear of a string of Ballydoyle and other runners. There's two things that stick out in my mind about it in particular, not including the fact that Mr. Bulger is somebody who I've not only had the pleasure of meeting on a good few occasions, but in terms of flat racing, he is someone who I have the utmost admiration for. But even leaving those personal feelings and a few rather close connections to the man aside, for a moment, there are two things which stand out to me, having seen McSweeney doing what he just did. Firstly, that Dodie, outsider of the two Bulger colts, he was very much entitled to be at least given strong consideration for the contest, in that he had the form in the book owing to his success in the Futurity Stakes, as it is now known, To the older of us, it will probably always be recalled as the Racing Post Trophy, but having won that particular contest last October or November at Doncaster, it was obvious at least that the new approach called acted on, well, we won't call it Winterground, but certainly ground on the softer side. So that was one, and if taking into account then that the Futurity Stakes is regarded rightly as one of the best signpost races for what may be to come for horses in their 3-year-old campaigns. He was certainly entitled to be given the utmost respect and consideration. But I think besides that, even the occasion cannot be let go without also giving the utmost congratulation and commendation to Rory Cleary. Now, Rory Cleary is in one of these wonderful yet unfortunate, I suppose you could say from another angle, positions in that he is undoubtedly one of the best jockeys on the flat circuit here in Ireland, and has been for a long, long time. But to some extent, and this is only natural, it's an unhappy accident, if you want to call it that. He, to some extent, tends to be overshadowed somewhat by Kevin Manning, not only because he's Jim's son-in-law, but naturally Kevin being one of the elder statesmen of the weigh room and the world-class jockey that he undoubtedly is and has repeatedly proven himself to be. Rory sometimes maybe wouldn't get the headlines or the opportunities that he may if, for example, he wasn't attached to the bulger establishment, for want of a better way of putting it. But he absolutely deserves every bit of good fortune that comes his way. Of course, Rory's late brother Sean was killed in a racecourse accident, or died as a result thereof, what feels like a good many years ago, and I'm not even going to attempt to guess at how many years ago. So it was absolutely wonderful to see a loyal and very important member of the Bulger team getting his afternoon in the sun, and very fitting indeed, because as anyone who has followed the racing scene in this country in the last while will know, Jim Bulger apart from the fact that he is an avid GAA fan, even from a racing perspective, is very much a team man and conscious of the team of people who he has around him. Now, they may be small and select in a lot of ways, but how amazingly they get their job done. And, you know, as I said a while back, the only astonishing thing that this corner learned today was the fact that he had something of a duck to break with today's classic. But what a strong hand they now have going forward to both the Irish and Epsom derbies. It certainly blows the market for that wide open and turns the perception held by me, and I expect many others, that either or both thereof amounted to a penalty kick for the Aidan O'Brien trained Bolshoi Ballet on its head. Now, that will sort of lead me where I want to be as regards a video update for now. I just wanted to post something. One, because the opportunity presented itself, and two, because it was quite a while since I had done so. I will be writing a bit sooner rather than later, probably, regarding the weekend's GAA goings on, and you know, the last day of the Premiership being tomorrow and all that. There's sure to be more content arriving in this space in the not too distant future regarding the workshop and different things we have going on and other areas we'd like to explore there. We will have, again, just to remind you, we will be making an effort to try and push the sales of the ebook Rolling Down Memory Lane again, because it was something that was a lifesaver to me doing it during the first lockdown last year, and just that I've put a fair amount of time and effort into it. I'm very happy and proud with the way it turned out, and I would love as many people as is possible to see it. So that will do as regards a bit of an update for now. As I said, there will be plenty of content coming with the climax of the soccer season across the water, and what could be a very important and telling round of fixtures in the National Hurling Football, Ladies Football and Camogie Leagues. So for now, we've plenty to look forward to. I hope that gives you some idea that we have been busy and we will be busy going forward. But for now, I will sign off. Please stay tuned to all our social media outlets and the website. And if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel already, please do, and you won't miss out on forthcoming content. I will talk to you all soon, please God.